Welcome back, OMG Tribe. Today, sit back, relax, get comfortable. Today, I am wearing my little Dreamtime dress. Here we've got the rainbow serpent, Guriela, and it just dances around this beautiful dress. And that's what today is a bit of a Dreamtime story. And it's my Dreamtime that brought us here. And it's all related to, are you living with purpose, or are you living the purpose you came down here for? So I've been harvesting a basket of sage to make some sage cleansing bundles. And I just wanted to take some time to tell you our story. So, when I met my husband, I was very sick. I was more sick than I would like to admit. I was strung out on antidepressants and in a very unhappy relationship and kind of just floating through life. And it just seemed that no matter what job I had, I was unhappy in it, and I couldn't really pinpoint why. And a big part of it was that I was not living my purpose, and this is something that they were not really taught and were not really educated on. And I think a lot of us have these beautiful inklings of our purpose come through very early on in childhood, and they just get smashed out of us and criticized, and we shut them off, and we go through life living very unfulfilling and unhappy lives until there comes a breaking point where we just realize we're not happy doing what we're doing. And so then we return to that inner child and we go, what parts of myself did I have to shut off that really brought me joy, that bring me the most joy, that bring me the most excitement, that make my heart just open and sing? And so when I first... You're eating a piece of pig face? This is part of my dream time. So when I first met my husband, I was very sick and just disoriented from my life. And I had lots of just people in my life pushing me into jobs. It doesn't matter what job it is, you just got to get a job. And for me, there was always this feeling of resentment, because I couldn't, no matter what job it was like if I was working for someone else, there was just this deep integral just unsatisfied with it just felt like I was wasting my life force energy trying to work my butt off for someone else. And there was just this discordance in my soul on a soul level. And so when I met my husband, I couldn't imagine anything worse than just working a job for someone else, even if I didn't like it. And it always just felt like the biggest waste of my life force energy. And it was just no wonder I was depressed. I didn't know what my purpose was. And so when I met my husband, he was an avid gardener. He had a beautiful garden, and he really invigorated something in me, or it was like a missing puzzle piece just clicked into place. And as soon as he started getting me into gardening, it was like I remembered that deep down in my soul, this is what I love doing. And even when I was back living in northern Canada, I used to grow capsicums in a pot in my window, and I used to grow an avocado in my bathroom, and I just loved growing plants. But to set up a garden was quite a tedious task, because there's so many predators and just animal pressure, and you really gotta secure your fences from rabbits and foxes and bears and like mountain lions and everything else that's in Canada. So when I met my husband, he reintroduced me to gardening, and it was just like something struck a chord in my soul, and it was just exciting and harmonious. And it was like, oh my God, I forgot. I used to love gardening. Like, what happened? I kind of just got thrown into the world, like, go get a job, go figure yourself out, you know, and I was very lost for a very long time, and that's why I was so disassociated from myself and kind of on all of these psychotropic medications, because I wasn't living a life that was in resonance and harmony with my soul's purpose. And so when my husband reintroduced me to gardening, it was like my soul came alive again. I just felt this internal spark, and I knew that this is what I was here to do. Somehow my path was the path of plants. And then we, you know, moved houses, and every house we moved into, rental or not, we always spent time in the garden. Time just setting gardens up and propagating and setting up greenhouses. Like, it was our therapy, you know, and it didn't matter whether it was a rental or a long-term situation, we always set up a garden. And when we fell pregnant with our son, we were contemplating, do we stay where we were currently living in a tiny rental, and it was just becoming unaffordable, and it was there was just a lot of noise and distraction, and I am a person of solitude. I like my time to myself. I like being in peace. I like communicating with my plants, and you need a peaceful space to do that. You can't have distractions of car honks and trains and whistles and phones and neighbors coughing and all that rubbish. So when we fell pregnant, we decided that we contemplated. We didn't just decide that we were going to move up to Rainbow, but we contemplated all of our options, and we're really like, you know, is moving to Rainbow the right thing for us? And one day my husband came home from work, and this is the beginning of my Dreamtime story. My husband came home from work, and we were newly married and heavily pregnant, and he said a word, and it was like a trigger. I can't even remember what word it was, but he mentioned just in passing this word, and it triggered this dream that I had like 3 or 4, maybe even 6 weeks prior. I had this very, 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 very potent dream, and I'm going to tell it to you right now. And I was permanently changed after this dream, but for some reason, I didn't retain the memory of it until my husband said this word, and it triggered something in me that just brought back this flood of memory of this dream, and it just was so profound when it happened. And so this is my dream. When I was pregnant, I had a dream that I was this beautiful, beautiful technicolor emu. Every single one of my feathers was a rainbow. You know, and it was just, I remember just looking at my feathers being like, oh my God, I can't believe how beautiful this technicolor, you know, coat of feathers was. So I was this technicolor emu, and I was running through a desert, and it just, everywhere I kept running, I kept thinking I would see something, and I would run towards it, and it would be nothing. It would just be a mirage. And so finally I was getting exhausted, and I knew I was going to drop my eggs soon. So I seen this mirage, and I ran towards it with everything I had left in me. And when I got there, it wasn't a mirage. It was this little desert oasis spring, and it had a pool of water and some beautiful big palm trees to lay under. And I just remember getting to this little desert oasis spring and feeling this letdown of, I made it. This is good enough. I can just sit here and have my egg now, hatch my egg, you know? And so, but the profundity that came with this is that because it had been in my psyche, but not yet acknowledged, when it came through in that instantaneous download, when my husband, you know, said that word that triggered the reaction, and here comes the dream, the message was that you can choose to live in a desert, or you can choose to create your own desert oasis, your own oasis spring. You can choose to live in a desert, or you can choose to create this beautiful paradise where you reside. And from that moment, I said, oh my God, I think we need to move to rainbow. I think this is it. I felt with every fiber of my being that this is where we needed to be, and this is where Spirit was calling us to come. And so I tell you this story because, well, for many reasons, you know. First of all, I'll just say it. I am starting actually a new kind of video series called My Rainbow Dreaming, or Rainbow Dreamtime, and it's actually stories very similar to this, where people that have moved to town recently have said, we just kept having these unworldly experiences that kept drawing us to rainbow, that kept calling us to rainbow. Are you okay? Yeah. And so in this next set of videos I will be releasing, there are stories from other people that felt called to move out to country. And look, when we got here, it was not an easy start. We were on a farmhouse and had a new baby, and everything just felt a bit overwhelming. And eventually we landed here on this block of land. And when we bought this block of land, it was a completely vacant block of land. Like we're talking 20 or 30 years of just stark, hard, sun, barren, poisoned clay. There was nothing here. Like the backyard used to get sprayed once a year and that was it. And that's about all the time and energy and love that was put into this land. And here we are, what are we, 19, 20, 21, 22, 3.5, almost 4 years later, and you know, everywhere I look there is a beautiful healing plant. I'm sitting here in front of my stone circle with all of these gorgeous sacred rocks that I have found and have called to me, and everywhere I look I've got, you know, this park that I'm in now. This is where my children play, and I have beautiful medicinal plants all along the borders. Everywhere I look there are trees that I planted and herbs that I have planted, and everything. When I look around my backyard and I look at all the beauty that's there, I think to myself, I created this with these two hands and this vision up here. And I think that that's why Spirit has called me here, was to create beauty in a place that needed the attention, that needed the love. And, you know, through growing all my own medicinal plants, you know, now I make medicine bundles, and I make herbal teas, and I make medicine for people's bodies, and that really brings me the biggest sense of joy is when somebody calls me up and they say, I've just used your sunshine salve and I've cured a problem that I've had for 20 plus years. Or, you know, like it just, and it just busts my heart wide open to know that I made an impact in somebody else's life. And that when I look around my yard, I know that I made an impact on this earth. And so in the next couple of videos, I'm going to be interviewing people who have also felt very called to this country and this town, because I think that Spirit does call people in certain directions for a reason. And, you know, I don't buy into this reductionist theory that everything is just random and perchance. And, you know, I believe that everything is in divine order and in a divine plan, and all I have to do is keep following my heart and that which brings my heart joy. And that which brings my heart joy is growing plants and teaching people how to grow their own medicinal herbal plants and how to make their own tea and their own cough syrups and their own medicine in case, you know, home emergencies come up. And I just never have felt so on point and with purpose in my life as I do when I'm teaching yoga or when I'm making medicine. You know, nothing brings me more joy than when people come into a yoga class and it's the beginning of the week and they're all, you know, shoulders up to their ears, and you can just sense their energy is really stuck and blocky and rigid. And then they leave class and they're open and fluid and blissed out to the point where they can barely keep their eyes open. And to me, that's like, whoo, job well done, you know? And look, to be honest, like, there's I never see anything as a threat. And there's a couple new people moving into town who have similar interests, and there's a new lady in town teaching yoga, and that's fine because I'm not threatened by it. I see it as complementary, not competition. People are drawn to whatever resonates with them, and different people, are attracted to different things and different qualities. But I just know for me that, I was a very lost person in my life because nobody asked me, why do you think you incarnated down here? Is this what your soul came down here to experience? Just working a mundane job in a chemist? Or is it something bigger? Do you have a bigger purpose, a bigger calling? And for me, that was, I had to learn to heal my own body through herbal medicine before I could help other people. And that's an important point too, is that you can't help others unless you can help yourself. I mean, we all want to help, save and change the world, but first we have to save and change our own world. And every day I just wake up with the intention in my heart that I just want to be the most beautiful expression of love and creativity that the cosmic divine order could imagine. And so I do that through my making teas, gifting people in my community, working on paintings, sitting with my stones, not my stones, but the stones in the stone circle, and asking them, what message do you need me to convey for you? And I think a lot of people, that's where a lot of kind of the numbness comes from, is not knowing, why did I come down here? What is my purpose? We get confused and distracted. And would you like to just sit on the ground and play with some mulch? I think, that's where a lot of my hurt and pain and anguish came from, was that I didn't know what set my heart on fire growing up, because I was just stuck in survival mode. And I think a lot of us are stuck in survival mode growing up. Would you like a piece of pig face? And, being a child, one thing that brought me a lot of joy growing up was being outside in the forest, looking at the sap bubbles on trees, and we would play games like, I would pretend to be a medicine woman and take sap from the trees and do like little, acupuncture with the sap from the trees on my brothers and sisters. Like, I used to do all this quirky stuff. And I remember being a child once, my brother fell out of a tree, and I ran home to get the wagon, and my sister said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to teach people how to heal themselves. And she said, like a nurse or a doctor? And I said, no. I want to teach people how they can heal themselves. And I didn't know what that meant. And now I look back with perspective and reverence and hindsight, and my heart is just like, oh, here I am going back to that 5-year-old devotional commitment to wanting to help people help themselves. And I do that through showing people how to make ferments and food that nourishes and heals their body, and teas and tonics and tinctures. And in this process, I'm still learning myself. And every time I try something and it works wonders, I want to share that information with the world. And so I really urge you to maybe even make a list of like the top 10 things that bring you joy, and the top 5 things you used to love doing as a kid that just really, you couldn't explain it if you had to, but just brought you so much joy as a child. And those will be the little initiatory keys that unlock those things within you that are calling you to your greater purpose. So I really hope that everyone watching this can find some clarity. I hope that, and I'm looking forward to hearing what some of these other people I'm going to interview say, because a lot of people said, I was called to this place. I was called to Rainbow. We kept having these otherworldly experiences, like a rainbow landing on the bonnet of our car as it was moving, or a rainbow just emerging out of the earth in our campsite right before our eyes. So I really think that Spirit called me here for a reason, and that all I have to do is just keep following what is growing the joy and the love inside of my heart, and that is making plant medicine. So this week I've got to bundle this up, all of my white sage bundles, and then I also made some lemon balm and peppermint tea as we're in a stop week. I picture stop weeks in the lunar calendar as there's no planting, because that's just like planned failure if you plant in a stop week. There's no seeding in a stop week. There's no taking clippings for strikings. But the things you can do in a stop week are things like making medicine and, harvesting herbs and resting and rejuvenating and cleansing the house and tidying up projects. And I've got all the raspberries cut down and ready to do a big, beautiful biochar burn this winter. And just feeling like total renewal in my spirit that, I had to let go of some emotional baggage over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I sat with that. I didn't try to ignore it. I didn't try to numb it. I didn't try to keep myself distracted from it. I acknowledged that there was sadness and grieving coming out of me, but I knew that once that space had been cleared, that the cosmos would open up, that there's empty, vacant space inside for new goodness to come back in, for new opportunities to come in, more fulfilling experiences. And, I get really excited when I think about the beautiful people that are also being called out to country, this part of country, and, with their own beautiful spiritual practices, like Reiki practitioners and artists and yoga teachers. And I think it's just really building a really, really diverse, beautiful community of interesting people who all have different healing gifts and modalities, so that we can learn from each other, so that we can help each other heal, so that we can connect and feel that sense of kinship and communion with each other. Those who are open to the possibilities of the universe. And so, I'm feeling a total sense of renewal. I'm feeling like really excited for some of our winter projects. I'm just feeling utter gratitude even for the loss and the grieving process that I had to go through in the last couple of weeks, because it gave me clarity, and it gave me vacant, empty space inside, and it gave me perspective, and it just taught me to be lighten up and be a little bit more lighthearted and not take everything serious or too personal or too to heart. And I really welcome all the people that are moving up to this part of country, and I'm really excited to connect and share all of our beautiful wisdom and insights, and have wonderful backyard bush bash dance parties, and just connect on a deeper level, and know that we are all here for a divine purpose and divine reason, and you are exactly where you need to be, going through exactly what you need to be going through, even if that feels really turbulent or uncomfortable in your life. Let it sit with it. Let it give you clarity. Let it give you perspective. Let it open your heart to new dimensions you didn't think were possible. And, just always come to the table with what can I offer, without burning yourself out. We do that. And I was thinking about, do I make this talk today about getting to know ourselves deeper and understanding our feminine and our masculine side, and what that means, and how do we balance those. But I think I'm going to save that talk for another day, because that's a very long, deep rabbit hole, and I'm excited I want to execute that with precision, that video. So I'm going to leave it there today, folks. I hope that you can tune into yourself and the things that bring you joy and the things that make your heart open and sing and just feel have that childlike excitement. And I hope you enjoyed this little Dreamtime story. This is my story and how I ended up on this part of the country, and I feel really excited. And if you're somebody that's in a position where you can't afford to pay your mortgage with the rising interest rates, or you feel that it's time to close one chapter and start a new chapter, I'm excited for you, because this is life forcing your growth, forcing you in a new direction, forcing you to have connections that you never have previously felt in your life. So I'm wishing you all health, wealth, happiness, and abundance. And until next time, tribe, I will be preparing, blending up tea, making all of my herbal tonics and tinctures and ferments for winter, so we can keep our immune system strong and our houses cleansed and purified, and our kids happy and healthy, because that's what it's about, raising a beautiful, healthy, resilient next generation of children and land keepers. And I hope you're all just having a beautiful day. Thank you for your time, and until next week, blessings, and wishing you all health, wealth, happiness, and abundance. One love from Rainbow. Bye. One last piece of information. If you have absolutely no idea why you came down here, what your purpose is, any clue what brings your heart joy, if you don't know what your hobbies are, anything like that, a very handy tool to utilize is astrology. So I never understood astrology because we're not taught it growing up. Let's change that. So what astrology is it's a map of your psyche, and it is a map of your strengths and your weaknesses. So when you were born, it is the incoming energies it's the incoming energies from the planets, which are their own consciousnesses, penetrating the earth and setting your program. So I'm a Pisces, and I didn't know what that meant until just only a couple of years ago, and it's like so spot on. I'm very dreamy, I'm very creative, I'm very intuitive, get these instantaneous cosmic downloads. I'm not, logic and fine details, and I'm not a legal person, like legal contracts. I never did well in school, but that's because Pisces they're not about structure, they're about unstructured waters, unbounded creativity. Whereas somebody like my daughter here, who is a Libra, she is, I've read her astrology chart, and her knowledge is going to far surpass mine. She is no intellectual lightweight. And so astrology is a map of the incoming consciousnesses from the planetary influences on your psyche. So your astrology chart can tell you, yes, you're very intellectual, yes, you're good at this, yes, you're good at that. Some of your weaknesses are X, Y, and Z, and you might need to work on those things. And, never think that a weakness is a bad thing. It's just an area in life where you have to do hard work on improving it. So an astrology is a great tool for navigating what your purpose is. And if you don't even know how to read or understand anything about an astrology chart, there are so many amazing astrologers out there who will read your chart for you and say, okay, this is what you're really good at, this is what you need to work on, and this is where you thrive and you excel, so this is where you should be putting all of your conscious energy into, and building a business around this. So if you have no idea about who you are, why you came here, what your purpose is, I would recommend looking into getting an astrology chart done, and that will be a field guide for why you came here, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what you can contribute to the world, you know, how you view the world and how you relate to it. So that's just my quick tip on if you have absolutely no idea what your purpose is. Try checking your own astrology chart, and if you can't understand it or decipher it, there are plenty of amazing astrologers out there who will happily have a quick consultation, and a lot of them are like, you know, less than $50 or donation based. So wishing you all health, wealth, happiness, and holiness. I have got some dishes and some tea and some lots of work to do. So until next week, tribe, thank you for tuning in. Sending you all one love from Rainbow, and we hope to have some of our Rainbow Dreamtime stories up soon. All right, thank you.
One love.